All right, what's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Report. I've got another special guest this tonight. So I've got Calvin joining me from the Traders. How you doing, Cal?
Good, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. As I was just saying to you before, could have been better if it was a lot better round. With many people struggling, obviously started with the big news yesterday with Jack Steele, and then obviously today he's out for a long time. So we'll get stuck into that, what to do with him, and get stuck in everything that happens. So before we start, I'll let you know how I went. And we'll get Cal as well to see how he went. But so for the round, I got 1990. So not great. Yeah, had a bit of a struggle. Had Max Gawn captain, which obviously sucked. I didn't have a loop to take McRae's score.
So do you read Calvin's captains, Bales?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. So was Max in my top 10?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, so right, off to a great start, mate. Anyway, keep going.
I had Lockie Neal as my fullback, but I thought Dixon's not going to play. I was going to loophole that, and I'm like, if the worst case scenario, I can put Max captain, but Dixon's not coming in, and then obviously Ryan Daniels says today that he's like bloody Kenny's feeling sore and he's not going to play. So that sort of put me in a bit of a wormhole. I know Roy was also the same as well.
Roy was in a real predicament. The amount of messages I got from him today about his captain and what he's going to do. So I don't know what he's actually done here, but he stuffed up his VC. He couldn't take McRae. He was sort of worried about the Dixon situation. So he ended up going. We had options. He had Cripper. He had Took. He had Max. And he ended up going with Max. Now, Max actually got to?
He got to an 81. 86, 86, sorry.
Yeah, that's not ideal, is it? So
no. See, I nearly went Cripps, obviously gained how many points. But the reason I didn't go Neil was because I had McComb as my emergency on my bench in my midfield. So I'm like, I was going to be taking the emergency from him in my midfield. So I'm like, I can't do that. I thought I'll play Jack Carroll. I would have gained 7 points by doing that because Carroll got 31. So
you take that.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, what my +3, -3? Obviously, I won't get your +3, -3 because you do it tomorrow. I don't want to take.
Okay. Yep.
I don't want to sort of steal anything from the Traders podcast so people can hear that. So my +3 would probably go to the guy I couldn't take as the loophole in Jack McRae, 123, bounced back nicely.
Yeah.
And then -3 Sunday. Just give it to Sunday. No, I'll probably give it to. I'll give it to. I'm not going to give it to Carroll. 31's ridiculous, but I'll give it to Whitfield. He's just been crap all year and just hasn't done it well enough.
Was that? What do you have? 46.
46, and he's playing forward pocket. I don't get it.
Okay. So here's the thing. I reckon surely when they get a proper coach, that he's back to doing Whitfield things. Like he had 69 last week in the second half.
Like I traded in Taranto when he was 939k, right? So I brought him in thinking Toby Green was coming back the next week, and I thought, brilliant, he'll play more CBAs, he'll get plenty of opportunity in there. And what they do, they keep playing Lockie Ash and Callan Ward. Like, Callan Ward's too old, get him out, put Tom Green in there, put like Tim Taranto in there, put Stephen Coniglio in there. It's just a joke. So I could go on about it for a long time. But how did you go this week? I'm
just looking at my score now. So I got it into the 2100s, which is great. And it keeps me inside the top 1,000.
Beautiful.
I thought I was having a bad week. I'm looking at a couple of scores here. Obviously, Whitfield and Coniglio in the 40s. That's worse than rookie. That's worse than a rookie score.
I thought Dacos was quite. He got a 63, but it was all right.
Yeah, so I need to start looking at my buy structure though, because my buys are bad for round 12. So a guy like Rioli, to me, he's been good for me, but
what did he get yesterday?
He got a 71. He sort of saved himself late too, but the problem with him is he's a genuine defender. Whereas I look around my back line there, I've got Jack Crisp, who obviously spends time in the midfield, Jaden Short. Sick Dog is just sick on his marks. Whitfield, God knows where he's going to be. So it's those guys. You don't want a genuine defender there. And at the moment, Rioli is. And each week, he's such a sort of hit and miss sort of person for me. So, and he's got that tricky round 12 buy. So he's a guy I'm looking to offload next week. But as you said, Jack Steele is one of the biggest issues.
Yeah, a very big issue. So, but yeah, Warney's going to be loving James Sicily going nuts.
Then, mate, he hates it. Oh, geez. He's been a big, so we've got Sick Dog and we've also got Sook Dog. And Sook Dog, he's not a nice person to be around on a Monday morning. So tomorrow when we head out there and do our podcast and all the other things we do, Sook Dog will be there and he'll just be whinging up the whole bloody place.
Yep, I'll be listening. I'll be tuned in for sure. So,
yeah,
let's get stuck in. So, before we go through the games and score and stuff, let's get into the big issue, which is Jack Steele. So, as if you have been living under a rock today, came out by Tom Brown. So that was interesting. He came out in first.
Wow.
But,
who would have thought?
Jack Steele, AC joint busted. He'll be out for 8 to 10 weeks. Potentially could be up to 12 from what I've heard as well. Wow. So that's obviously not great. He was 929. He's probably going to drop maybe 20, 30K. I think his break-even was like 50 odd more. So you're still going to be able to get someone good for him, but obviously it sucks. You're going to have to trade out a Uber premium that you're going to keep for the rest of the season and captain option every week. So I guess what are your plans potentially of like looking forward? Are you going to be going to a Brayshaw or going up, or are you going to maybe go down to like a Wines? Oh, but then he's got the rental buy, but maybe look for some value and get some cash there. What are you looking at doing?
I haven't had a lot of time to look at it, and especially with as far as the buys go. But my first gut feel was, so Hewitt, I traded out Hewitt last week, and Hewitt will be about 100, 120K less than what he is. So that also gives you some nice flexibility over the buy rounds if you were to do that in your midfield. Now, I don't know where I sit with that. Now, Hewitt was great. I think he basically got a 97 or a ton.
Looked good as well.
But, he looked amazing. So he is still very cheap. He'll be about 780 odd. But he's the same price as like your Zorkos and that sort of group as well that are just starting to heat up. But the best bet, obviously, is to go up to a Callum Mills. Now, Mills, he will be around about the 940, 950 mark. So as you said, you don't need a lot to do it.
No.
You only need a handful of change to get it up to a guy like that. And this is a guy, and that's where I feel like I want to do, because your Hewitt's 100. That's great. Okay, but Mills is a 150. Mills is a 150 and a potential captain option. And you know what I mean, mate? Love me captains.
Yeah, love the captains. Yeah.
To me, that's where I want to go, which means that my Rioli lives for the week. It means that all these guys I'm trying to fix up from my buys, they're going to live another week. And what he talked about it the other day, like if you're a person that double downgrades and gives yourself a worn chest heading into next week, there's always a good chance that you actually won't get to use it because of the way things are going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I sort of partly lucky enough don't have the Steele option, so I do. I'm certainly not sitting here thinking
smug. Look at him.
I'm not smug.
Is that a dimple?
I wanted to. Brett Steele was my round 13 trade target. I was going to be bringing him round 13, perfect off his buy. Yeah, I don't have anyone to bring in round 13 that I'm looking at. So but if I was looking, I think the other guy that I'd be looking at, obviously with Mills, is Andrew Brayshaw. So I think because he's got round 14 bye, that might work better. His next 4 games for his bye: Collingwood at Optus, Melbourne at the MCG, Brisbane at Optus, and Hawthorn at Optus. So his run's quite nice. Obviously, he got to a 99 today, considering that I didn't notice him very much at all during the game. So he's another guy. I think Zorko is not a bad option if you're going down. He's got Hawthorn this week, got a good buy. As you said, with Hewitt, he's got the good flexibility that he can go back during the buys. So that's definitely another thing I'd be looking at. But yeah, it's going to be, as you said, it's tough because we've got the buys, 7 trades now before buys, and people want to, 7. People want to be looking at fixing their buy structure. So, but now they've got to deal with Jack Steele, unfortunately. So,
not everybody does, Bales. I can sense a bit of smugness coming from you.
No, I'm not smug. I wanted Jack Steele in my team, and now unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get him. So, I do definitely feel for people that I've copped obviously some bullets as well this year. More so bringing in premiums that have just stunk it up. Another one I need to speak about that I was sort of chatting with a couple of guys on Twitter about was Isaac Heaney. So he's had 2 combined centre bounce in the last 2 weeks. Papley's been back. And when you look at the list I tweeted the list of forwards in their team, and they've got, if I get the list up here, because I tweeted it'd be just a lot easier to, here we go. See, they had Buddy Franklin, Logan McDonald, Tom Papley, Will Hayward, James Bell, Errol Goulden, Sam Wicks, and then you've also got Parker and Warner resting forward. And
right, hey,
I just don't get it. It's these actual coaches that are ruining us fantasy coaches in a way.
it's hard work. Question I've got for you: Where do we sit here with Mitch Duncan? Mitch Duncan.
I'm not a fan.
Oh, really?
Last week I was, but this year I've watched him pretty much every game he's played. And last week I was like, yep, Duncan's back. He's got this half back role coming off the half back flank. But then yesterday he had 7 touches in the first half of the quarter, and then he didn't touch the ball until midway through the second quarter. And I'm like,
okay.
I just didn't enjoy watching it. I don't want to bring a guy like that in when you've got potentially guys in your forward line like Bont, maybe getting forward status. Bailey Smith will get forward status hopefully as well. So you've got plenty of forwards there. And
yeah, you're right.
He goes missing at times, and he's also an easy target to get tagged as well. So
he is. He's had 20 marks in the last 2 weeks. He's still got 8 on the weekend.
Yeah, and the good thing is Geelong are playing their chip mark game around the back, so he does get involved. I think he'll average 95 to 105 at 105 being obviously I think what he can do at his best, but I think somewhere around that 97 that's probably about where he's at. So he is underpriced if people want to bring him in, but he doesn't actually work for my buys because I'm actually quite heavy on round 13. I've actually got.
Oh, right.
I haven't got a lot of people on. I've only got like 9 or 10 on the round 14 buy. What's going on with the camera there, Cam?
Oh, mate. This tripod is the worst tripod you'll ever see. It's one of Warney's reject. Okay.
People don't want to know what my bloody stand is under my computer. So I'm literally using a box on the top of my laptop. So
my tripod's held together with electrical and strapping tape. So yeah, it's only just.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. We'll get into get quick skim over the games of the weekend. So we'll start on the Friday night. So Adam Treloar, 134, he went massive. So I think he's a guy that I wasn't hot on before this game. And after seeing that, I'm like, I think he can average 95 plus from here. I think he's a good option to bring in.
Agreed.
Libba, 125. He went good. So he's a nut. You could honestly have a forward line of Treloar, Dunkley, Libba, English. And then when Bailey Smith and Bont get forward, so you have 6 Bulldogs, and there's nothing wrong with that.
100% you could. The problem with Treloar is that he kicked 3 goals to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas Libba didn't kick any goals and laid his 8 tackles. So, I 100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. Jack McRae, 123. So he got involved in junk time, which was very nice to get to that 123. So that was good. Would have been a lot better if I could take him as a loophole, but you live and you learn. And so, yeah, unfortunately, that mistake I have to live with. But Caleb Daniel, 123. There's a lot of Bulldogs scoring high. Bont, 119. Bailey Smith, 116. Dunkley, 113. And Bailey Dale, 106. So Jack Crisp was one I want to talk about as well. So he's taking out his 51 from round 1. He's had the 183 and then essentially 99 plus in every game. He's just been very, very good. And I know you didn't trade him out, but for people watching, I hope you didn't trade him out. So
I never started with him, which was very unusual for me. I went with Jaden Short instead, which has worked out okay. But I've got him in the last couple of weeks just because he is who he is. And the thing is there, though, he top scored for Collingwood against one of the hardest teams to score against. So on a day like that, you take that 103 and
100%.
Yeah, 100% you do.
Yeah, he's very, very. He's actually a lot like round 1. He looked lost, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but he's just been fun to watch. He's a guy that can score bulk points. A little bit like Mills is obviously better, but a guy like Mills can score points in bulk. So Darcy Cameron, obviously you jumped on that train this week, and so did Warney and myself. So a 90 I was pretty happy with. He dropped a mark with like 30 seconds to go, would have kicked the goal in the goal square, would have been a 102, but I'm not complaining. A 90 from a guy, I think he's priced at 60 something. So
yeah. And look, he's not going to get 33 hit outs a week. That's a little flag there, and he was a little bit down around the ground. So he only had like 11 touches around the ground, which is down from what he's been doing. I think last week he had 6 marks, 6 tackles, and this week I'm looking at 5 and 3. So I think he will be about that. I think he could be an 80 for here on in, which will be enough to get us through the buys.
Yeah. Yeah, he's and he'll get ruck status as well, which is very important, obviously, for your buys and stuff like that. So, Jordan De Goey, he got 77, but I'm a bit positive with that because he did score -1 in the third quarter, and it was against the Bulldogs. So he's a guy I'm looking at as an underpriced guy if he fits because I've got 420k in the bank because obviously I took that haircut off Cameron. I could have got Petrarca. Obviously, Petrarca probably would have been the better choice, but I thought I'll use the cash next week, do a couple of upgrades. So DeGo is a guy I'm looking at, playing plenty of midfield, and he's good. I think Nick Dacos, if you've got him, would you be getting rid of him, or do you think round 14 buy is so handy that you'd be keeping him till then?
Exactly right. I think that the consensus is it's a hold to the buy rounds, and he is the perfect guy to offload during that time. He's dropped off a bit, let's be honest, but
at least he's still got another 21 disposals as well, so he's still getting the ball.
Thing is, though, what did he have here? He had 63. He was one of only him and Bo McCreary didn't lay a tackle in that game. So I think he's better than that. But however, he's the perfect guy to offload in the buy rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Taylor Adams just frustrating. Just doesn't score enough every week.
Yeah.
Now this would be one for the cheaper guy. People looking for a rookie this week: Cleary or Buku Karmas. Who would you be going for out of the two?
That's an interesting one.
You jumped on Cleary obviously this week.
I jumped on Cleary this week only because I needed him to get Darcy Cameron in. So it was a bit of a Hail Mary, and I only offloaded a dead weight anyway. But he was impressive. He
looked good. He sort of took the last quarter off in a way. He didn't score much.
He did. So 64 points, 7 marks. I reckon he's there again next week. The fact that they won, I think he's there to stay for a while.
Yeah. Would you be going him over Karmas?
I believe so. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I think Cleary's got a lot better scoring potential. I think Karmas's job security is probably a little bit better because I haven't got many forwards because he's keeping Hugo Hagen out. But because the Cleary reminds me a bit of Lewis Butler from a couple of years ago, brought him in for a week or two, and Bulldogs do this. I don't know if I'd bring in either, but I'd probably go Cleary just because of the scoring potential. I guess I'd rather the scoring potential.
Agreed. Karmas had 57 and needed 3 goals to get there, so that says that.
He could get a 20 on any other week. So
too right.
Hawthorn, Richmond, sick dog. I don't think we can add much more than the fact that he's just an absolute ball magnet. He just loves those +6s. I was sort of thought raining a little bit. There were a little bit of rain was expected. I thought maybe a bit of not as much footy. Still got a 109. He was very, very good. This was a very low scoring game. Actually, only him and Bolton scored over 100. Yep. So, like, Dusty is a guy that I'm looking at after his round 12 buy. He's going to be really cheap. He's a guy that I guess you can bring in. Jaden Short, 86, probably isn't only I guess you probably want a little bit more than an 86 against Hawthorn, I would imagine.
Yeah, of course. And the thing with the sick dog is that his kick to handball ratio is elite. So I'm looking here, he had 23 to 1. And every single touch he gets, I just laugh my face off at Smug Dog, who does not have him. So every point he gets is a bonus. I love it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's more than Bowie.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Little Jake Bowie, number 1 captain option this week on the thing. Yeah, I love that. I loved it.
Okay. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people were like, oh my God, I can't believe he's used the wrong picture. I'm like, oh, you idiot. Yeah. There was so many
I knew straight away. That's the warn. That's the bit of the warn dog there. So
no, I made it. I made the graphic.
Yeah.
But it was it was totally exactly what we do. It's our sort of twisted sense of humor, but people still didn't get it.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, they actually used Jake Bell. I laughed my head off because it's just hilarious.
It was good. The best one we got was the guy that wrote, oh my God, I can't believe they've used Oscar Baker instead of Clayton Oliver.
Oscar Baker hasn't played for a while. I can't remember the last time he played a game.
That is someone who gets the sense of humor, and I was like, we're on it. That was good.
Yeah, good. I love it. That's definitely my sense of humor. That's for sure.
I love it.
Actually, Sicily reminds me very much of, remember Heath Shaw from a few years ago when he was a pre-defender? Like that.
Yeah.
25 touches, 24 kicks, essentially. Just he's so good. Yep. Not too much else to come out of that game, other than the fact that obviously your Daniel Rioli got to his 71. So that's obviously 3 behinds as well. So that could have been obviously a little bit higher as well if he kicked straight there. And then it was just really like you guys that you're cheap. So like McDonald only got a 39 as a sub. Bigoa Nuon, I think that's how you pronounce it. Only got 23.
Yeah.
Maurice Rioli only 18. That I did say on the Friday episode of the Weekend Forecast, don't bring him in. Bad buy and just small forwards you can't trust. And then Sam Butler only got 17, which was disappointing because he's got the perfect buy, but unfortunately, you're not paying for him.
The other one there is, I think, Jai Newcomb's been really good lately.
Yes.
So he was still good. He had 76, and for what you could actually pick him up for is fine. I know draft owners are loving his work at the moment. So yeah, he's and without the pig there, which is another topic, but without the pig there, it seems like they are enjoying Jai Newcomb's work more than what they are the pig at the moment. So that's an interesting one. And draft owners, if he's on the scrap heap, you better grab him.
Yeah, I with the pig. Obviously, we'll talk about him just quickly. This is a scenario where I would love the mid-season draft to be brought in. Mid-season trade period to be brought in, because I could see him fitting in at a Geelong, but Richmond's the perfect fit for me. I think that he could slip in there straight away. But Geelong I love him at the Crows at the moment as well. Teams like that, I'd love, because he'd be a fantasy beast there. But when they're wanting guys like Ward and Newcomb and don't give a start on Warple. Warple's just, I don't know what's happened with him.
Oh my God.
What's happened
what
with him?
What is that? Like, he had 41. I know it's not all about fantasy, but that's 12 touches. 12 touches.
Yeah, but you say 41, right? I remember looking 5 minutes into the last quarter, he was on 18 points. He got 23 points essentially in...
And he got a goal. He got a goal in the last, So
I don't know what's happened with him, so yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so is he a name we're going to talk about next year and go, hey, he's cheap. He's capable of going 90 plus. Is he a guy next year that we look at?
If he gets traded, potentially. I just don't know.
Exactly.
I just don't know if he's going to score well at Hawthorn. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if maybe it's something off field. I don't know. Maybe he's got, I don't know. He just doesn't get the ball. I don't know. He just doesn't look hungry. Like, he was like ferocious and tackling. He was called the Warpedo for a reason. And
I'm looking here. He had 1 tackle, 1 mark.
That's not the Warple that we've seen in the past, especially from when he won the best and fairest. So,
agreed.
Yeah. North Melbourne Port. So, obviously, very underpriced option in Ollie Wines. 32 disposals, 2 goals, 3. That could have been a lot bigger. What do you think with him? If especially, I'm asking for the people that don't have issues with round 12. Is he a guy that you would look at going still down to him, make yourself about 80, 90K if it doesn't affect your buys?
So before heading into this round, he was priced at under 800K. So he's got a 7 in front of his name. It is a nasty, it is an amazing price. He's down 140 for the year. He's a guy definitely you should be looking at. However, check your buy structure, because if it looks like mine, it's incredibly ugly.
And see, if people look at his last sort of 4 scores, he had the 36 against Melbourne, obviously with the heart issue. Then he got the 118 against West Coast. Then he got 91 against St Kilda up at Kazales, the wet weather soap of a game. And then he got 70-something against the Bulldogs, which we know are very hard to score against. So I think he's definitely an underpriced option you should look at. When I say this name, he's still infuriated. Zach Butters.
I knew you'd say Zach Butters.
He's one of the most infuriating players to watch if he's in your team. I remember as well last week against the Bulldogs, I can't remember who took him out in the back pocket. He jogged past the defender as if he was taking little tiny baby steps and I could have walked quicker than that. He for me, he's gone. I think the round 12 buy for me to fix that up, that he says, see you later. So is he on the block for you with Steele, or is you, with the Steele thing, have you got to hold on to him for another week?
And that's it. And I know you, Bales, and you're a slow walker. And the fact that you could actually have walked past him is very, Thing is that, though, with him, though, like, the CBAs are there. Like, the role is there. And we talk about this all the time. And the role is there. So, for me, he's got that round 12 buy, and so does Rioli. So, it's either him or Rioli. One at a 70, one at an 80. And this guy actually has a role. Rioli
can score higher.
Well, can he? Well, I hope so, because Rioli is still a defender. So for me, it is Rioli probably goes before Butters, and I hate saying that, but
what's the price difference between the two? Because there might be
they'd be very similar, I reckon.
So Butters will be close to Butters will be close to 610K or so this week.
Yeah, so at the moment before lockout here, he's at 636.
Yeah.
And Rioli's at 625. So they're
Rioli's actually more expensive. So I was going to say maybe it comes to price.
Slightly cheaper.
Slightly cheaper.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Slightly cheaper. So 625. So they're very similar in price. So, and they both got the round 12 buy. So I can cut any of them at any point, and I will not have any ill feelings about it. I do not care. However, Butters is a midfielder. Rioli is a defender. So I feel like that Butters needs to stay.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good doing that. On Twitter, there's no positive things about him. Oh, he got an 84. It's good. He did better. People are like, I don't like watching Butters play. So yeah, it's not great watching. I would much rather a guy like Connor Rosie. However, I wouldn't be jumping on United if you've got him. If you've got Rosie and Butters in between the two, would you agree trade Butters before Rosie?
Oh, 100%. I'm looking at Rosie's numbers here. He had 27 touches and 0 goals too.
Yeah,
like
could have been 100.
It could have easily been 100. So the role is there for him as well. So flag. He only played North Melbourne, but that's okay. Okay.
Just got to mention as well. He's definitely Roy's favourite player in the AFL. That's for sure. So,
Roy loves Rosie.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. We'll find out about that.
There wasn't too much actually fantasy action going on in this game. So, who have we got?
It was Taron Thomas had a 90 last week, and we thought, okay, maybe he's back. He's got some more CBAs, and North Melbourne missed a few midfielders, but Taron only had a 49, so that was pretty disappointing.
This was the week for me. If he got an 80 plus, he was coming in. But
agree,
he's officially now crossed out. He just as you said on the pod it was the Thursday on Monday. You just said North Melbourne. You just can't trust any of their players. Maybe Aaron Hall when he comes back, but that's about it.
Another one out of this game is a very interesting one. Is Travis Boak, 38 points.
Disgusting.
That's unbelievable. And he had 81% time on ground. He just did not get going at all. And he's in Hobart. It's cold. It's drizzly. It's a terrible place to live or go or hang out. 38 points. I reckon in a couple of weeks' time, he could be primed for the picking.
Well, especially with the early buy, round 12 as well, that could be a guy that you could definitely jump on. It's just, I thought those conditions would suit him. He normally does quite well in the slippery conditions and the colder conditions, but unfortunately, that certainly didn't do so. If you've got him in your team, it was worse than Coniglio and Whitfield, and we thought they were bad. So,
oh mate, God, yes, they were bad. I think it was both.
Fingers crossed. Hang on, you go. Sorry, yep.
No, I was just going to say. So in the first 8 games, so before this week, Boak had gone over 110 in 6 of them. Like he is the unique guy that gets it done. Like it's ridiculous. I think he's going at 112 until this week. So he's definitely a trading target of a guy that is so reliable. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just 38. Just like
38!
I certainly didn't think he'd go that low. Like I thought
38. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's
just
bad.
a quick one. Actually, we'll talk about the Giants when we get to that game. But St Kilda and Geelong. So Tom Stewart just did his thing again with another 106. So I don't think he scored under 92 in the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks. So he's
amazing.
He's just a gun. And with Geelong with their chip mark game back, he's certainly going to be around the top 6.
Yeah.
I think I've got him as my number 7 or 8 currently, but that's maybe with. It's not actually. I can't keep calling it bias. It's just Jordan Dawson's just awesome. I just love watching Dawson. So we'll go more into detail with Dawson when we get into that game. Jay Gresham got his first ton of the year, which was interesting.
Okay. Yeah,
but he got a 40 last week.
Mate, he had 30 touches. He's around it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, maybe Jack Steele being injured, potentially a guy like Gresham has an increased role. So that's
100%.
Certainly a guy that you could look at potentially, but maybe if you've got other options. But if you're hot on it, I guess you can jump on that. Duncan, obviously with the 86, we discussed him before. Do you think you'd still be looking at him as a potential trade option, or didn't you see enough?
Well, no, I saw enough, to be honest. The thing is, though, with him, he had 8 marks. So he had 12 marks last week. The halfback role seems to be there for him. So I'm okay with that. And we've got to remember that St Kilda are actually one of the hardest teams to score against this year.
Yes.
So let's take that with a grain of salt. The fact that he was their 6th highest scorer and he took 8 marks, I reckon is a massive bonus.
Yeah, I think, and again, we say this as well when upgrading before the buys. If you're not getting a top sort of 8 midfielder, top 6 forward or defender, you can bring these guys in if you don't think they are, and then you can move him on at his round 13 buy, for example, and bring in a Bont if he gets forward status. So something to look at anyway. But I think Duncan will probably still be a top 6 forward. I think I think he'll be like number 6 or number 5. I think.
Look, I agree, and the fact that I think his body's okay. I think he's playing a lot of games at the moment. The buy's going to do him well. I think that he'll play every game from here on in. And he's so cheap at the moment. And I don't know about you, but he was a guy I considered at the start of the year. So
yeah, well, I had him in my team when fantasy first opened. I'm like, he's my number 1 forward. He's underpriced because he got injured on like a 5 last year or something like that. So he's definitely a guy that I'm definitely a guy I'm looking at.
He's even cheaper now. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He's a guy that I've sort of have put the asterisk next to as to a guy that I'm looking at. Just around 13 buy for me is probably going to be the thing that he doesn't come in. I'm looking for guys on the round 14 buy, unfortunately. But Cam Guthrie, another 78. I said to my mate on the phone last night that he's a guy, if you have he plays 5 games, he gets you 3 bare hundreds, who get you a 110, 115, he'll get you 70. That's probably, and he might give you another 70 instead. So that's, I don't know if he's necessarily my favorite guy to bring it. And he only plays like 70, like low 70s game time. So obviously we talked about Jack Steele before. The fact I give incredible praise for him that he was able to come out in the second half with a destroyed shoulder and he still got to almost an 80 against Geelong, who are incredibly hard against. And his third quarter, I think he had like over 30 points, and he was part of the reason why St Kilda won. And I tipped St Kilda just quietly as well, which obviously helped my tipping, but tipping's just crap.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm not talking about tips. Tips are bad. I went Giants today. I went
Giants
today. But yeah, Steele in the third quarter, 9 disposals, 2 marks, 30 points, and obviously wasn't going to tackle much, obviously, with a banged up shoulder. So, yeah.
That's a great effort, an amazing effort.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why the fantasy community love Steele, because the only thing I'd sort of knocked him this year was he hadn't been giving us those 120 plus scores, but he'd been consistently 110 pretty much the majority of the week. So,
and in my captain's research, he's been like 110 to 130 for the last few weeks. So consistent without actually being brutal. Yeah.
I think Mills has taken, as you said before, over that that one. So, and then De Koning was the only other one there that got a 47. So just sort of good for cash generation, and Never only got a 24 as well. So just you can't trust your Geelong rookies. Sydney and Essendon. So we'll start off at the top with Callum Mills, as you said before. Had a career high 13 tackles, had 7 marks to go with 29 disposals. I didn't watch this game. Obviously, went to the Crows game, but did you watch the game? What did you sort of think?
Mate, I watched bits and pieces. I saw. So Mills wasn't in my top 10 captains, okay? And the reason he wasn't in top 10 captains is because he averages 99 at the SCG in the last year and a half, and the fact that he only had 70 odd there last week. So I was like, well, can't have him in there coming off that. Oh, my. There were some smug people on Twitter, more smug than Warn Dog, coming out going, can't believe you didn't bloody have him. But anyway, 13 tackles is what inflated his score here. Yep. He only had 29 touches, right? 29 touches though, but 13 tackles takes him to 156. This guy is a beast. And at some point this year, everybody needs him in their team. So does Jack Steele now open up the opportunity for us to go, right,
bring in the big boy?
Well, he will be potentially the highest averaging player this year. If he isn't, who will be?
Yeah. I had it between... Mills was a guy that I had up high because of his high ceiling, because he fills the stat sheet up every week.
He does.
I think the only knock on him I had a few weeks ago was he was only playing about 75%. But the last 2 weeks, he's played 85% in both games, which is obviously brilliant, obviously inflating his time to get points. I think I had Andrew Brayshaw just ahead of him in terms of like before this week. I don't know if that changes now. I just had Brayshaw because he's guaranteeing you 5 marks, 5 tackles every week. And he got to a 99 when he wasn't even that much involved. So, it's going to be interesting. I think a lot of people are going to go for Mills and Brayshaw, probably going to be the two guys. Maybe the buys is what helps split them, because one's got round 13, one's got round 14. So
yeah. I think that Mills is ahead of Brayshaw, and I think that's an easy one because Brayshaw is not consistently going over these massive numbers. He's had one big one.
Yeah, the 180.
The 180. You take that out, and you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to take that.
Yeah. Take anomalies out. Yeah.
Yeah, you can take that.
Yeah, 100%.
I just think that Mills is elite. The fact that he had 7 marks in this, he just comes back and finds it. I just think that he's legit. He will be what Jack Steele and Took were last year. We need a guy like this.
Yeah, 100%. He's that guy as well that because I don't own him obviously, and a lot of people don't, but I sort of go on, look 5 minutes into the game, he's on 25 points already. I'm like, how has he got to this? He's had like 3 tackles. He's taken a couple of marks. He's had like 3 disposals. I'm like, he's just a beast. If he keeps doing a lot more of these games, potential Snout nomination maybe towards the end of next year if he keeps going.
Whoa! So, now you are right though, because this is pig tendencies.
Yeah,
you are dead right. When he's doing 156s and he's running around, there is a tail. There is a tail at the back, and there's a little bit of an oink as well. So, 100%.
The only thing that he's got to do is, at the moment, he reminds me a little bit of a Brent Stant, who's one of my all-time favourite fantasy players. But he goes,
of course,
150s, and then he gets a 70. If he can get those 70s up to bare hundreds or high 90s, he's going to be definitely in the conversation.
The only way pig status is accredited is if Warney's got him in their team. So if Warney gets Mills in his team, then give it 2 or 3 weeks and he'll be a pig. Done.
Yeah, Mills is just so good to watch. I was going to start with him at the start of the year, but I should have followed my gut and started him. But I was just like, this Achilles injury, I'm like, I can't start with him. But I was so close. I actually said, for anyone, I know that we've got a few regulars here that tune in every week, but I said at the start of the year, Callum Mills will be potential. He's my pick for this year's Toot Miller, Jack Steele. I got on that. I said that. I just haven't brought him in yet. So I want to pat myself on the back there.
Mate, his points per minute is elite, and it was in the preseason as well. And he's always done it. And as you said, I was worried about the Achilles and all this sort of stuff. And guess what? Not an issue. Not an issue. No. We need him ASAP.
Yeah. Jake Lloyd, another guy, back-to-back hundreds. He's underpriced. Yeah. Obviously, we know that the Seagull is an option, I guess, if you're looking for him. I don't have him in my top 6 defenders, but he's with Sydney's obviously game style. But he's fantasy royalty in the back line back there. Underpriced, do you think, an option?
100% underpriced, 100% an option. So, as you said, back-to-back tons. What's he got there? 24 touches, 7 marks. I still think he's a great option. Once again, though, check your buy structure. Make sure that he fits.
Yeah. Luke Parker, 95. So he's getting it done again. Nick Blakey. I know that my mate brought him in after his first 3 games. We got the 80s and the 100. And then he went 60 and like 60, 50, 60 or whatever. He traded him out last week and he's gone back-to-back 90s. It's just... Fantasy's a cruel game when stuff like that happens to you. But
it's a horrible game, mate. A horrible game.
Isaac Heaney, obviously we spoke about him before. I just don't understand why he's not getting more centre bounces. He is a natural midfielder and they're playing him purely forward and then on a wing. And I'm like...
I can see him being a bit like what Callum Mills is over the last couple of years. Like Sydney seem to hold these guys off. They really try to hold them out. And Mills is that perfect player where they were like, no, you're going to stay in the back line, mate. Now we release you. And since then, he's been an absolute beast. I reckon Heaney next year could potentially be a full-time mid. Got to remember that Horse is a fantasy.
He loves doing this. Yeah.
He hates it. Remember what he did with Tom Mitchell? Like, it's the same sort of thing. Like, so it's the same thing, but however, it's proven that the time for Mills has come, and I reckon the time for Heaney will come, but it doesn't look like it's this year.
Yeah, and the thing that's bad for this is as well, Heaney's 26. Like it's not like he's 23, 24, and he's still breaking through. Like he's 26, and we just turned 26. Sorry, so it's like it's literally next year, or he's probably just going to be this forward for his career. And they said he was going to play mid in the preseason, which obviously frustrated me bringing him in 2 weeks ago. Like I brought him in, he had one score under 95 all year, and I thought, brilliant. Probably come back, more CBAs, and then he's gone 67, 75 since I got him. But premiums love doing this to me. They love frustrating me and not scoring well. So I know you said the same thing as well. You brought in Petrarca, and he got his lowest score in like 3 or 4 years or something.
Hey, he bounced back this week, though, mate. Yes, that's okay.
Yeah, he's bounced back the last 3 weeks, and he's definitely an option I'm looking at. Nick Martin got his 65. I think do you think that he's a guy we can hold past his bye, maybe for a few weeks?
We 100% do, mate. I actually think that he wins the Rising Star.
I've got him at the moment, yep.
So I went heavy on Dacos at the start of the year.
Yeah,
I cashed it out last week. I was like, I just can't. This Nick Martin stuff, he's legit good. So
yeah,
I was like,
because I remember he kicked 4 goals against the Bulldogs in the preseason. I'm like, who is this guy? It's Nick Martin. Like, and they said they picked him up in the SSP or whatever before the season. I'm like, he got 48 in like 57, like half a game against St Kilda in the preseason. I'm like, I'm just going to chuck him on my utility. I didn't have emergency round 1. Then he went bang, and he's just a very good player. Like, even if he's not scoring hundreds every week for us, he's just so good. And as you said, I think he's got the Rising Star for the year. Ben Hobbs, 63. So if you've got him, that's obviously good for some more cash generation as well. Would have been a lot better if I had him instead of Carroll. But what are you going to do? Paddy McCartan, 55. Good for some more cash generation. Zach Merritt, like 51. Like, I know he got a heavy hit with Rowbottom, who I think might get a week for that, but 51.
Yeah, well, look, he came back early, didn't he? He just obviously wanted to play that the Anzac Day game. 51 for him. He had 14 touches. That's not Zach Merritt. Zach Merritt's better than that. So his time will come. And once again, another great trade target.
Yeah, especially when he goes down in price as well. And then we'll go through the Adelaide-Brisbane game. And then do you have to head off after we go through this game quickly as well?
Yeah, let's do this one, mate. Let's do this one. Then I'll go chuck the kids in bed. Let's go.
Yep, no worries. So, we'll start off with this, right? Rory bloody Laird, right?
Right.
So I just want to say something before as well. Like, he's my favourite player in the AFL, hands down. Like, obviously been a Crows fan. I've loved him for years. And I was very similar to you. I was highly considering putting him as my M1 instead of McRae for the year. And then he buggered his hand up, and I thought, you can't do it. 34 games in a row with 25 or more disposals, which I think, I can't remember the guy's name that put it up on Twitter and Instagram, but he was on 32 a couple of weeks ago. So I've just had that stat in my head. He's gone at minimum 7 tackles in 4 straight weeks. He is now back up to 80% instead of playing his low 70s when he's working his way to full fitness. Superstar.
Mate, legit. I'm looking here. So 34 touches, 10 tackles. Yeah. And as you said, only 80% game time. 124. He goes at a minimum of 110 for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It is.
I think it's 115. I'm being bold on that because if you look at his run, and I've said this to my mate a few weeks ago that I'm bringing Laird in either round 12 or round 14 after his bye. His run after next, he's got St Kilda, Adelaide Oval, and Geelong down in Geelong, hard 2 games. After that, West Coast, Adelaide Oval, then his bye. Then he's got Gold Coast at Metricon, North Melbourne at Blundstone Arena, Melbourne, Adelaide Oval, Hawthorn at Marvel, Collingwood at Adelaide Oval. That is an insanely run. I'm pretty sure the Cal scale of hardness would be pretty green over that.
Bales, it did feel like you were stepping on my toes there for a minute, but you are dead right. So there are 4, what I deem as 4 easy teams in the comp, and he hits 3 of them in a 5-week period. I'm with you.
Go bananas.
I would love Rory Laird in my team. So West Coast at home is just juicy as. That's coming up very soon.
It sucks that that's before his bye, though. That might be the reason I might not get him before his bye. But if people are looking at him for Jack Steele, tick that off.
After his bye, though, he goes Gold Coast, North Melbourne, right? Gold Coast, North Melbourne, Hawthorn.
Yeah, ridiculous. He's going to be getting 120 plus.
Definite target after his bye.
The fact that he got a 110 against the Bulldogs at Mars, and then he got a 118 against GWS when he got tagged, and he got a 122 against Carlton when he was sick apparently all week. So
yeah,
he's just a beast.
Mate, he's legit.
Lockie
Yeah.
Neal, again, continued his thing. Take away, again, because we say we can take away these weird scores. When he gets injured against North Melbourne, tagged against O'Connor, tagged against Swallow, and bad condition, didn't count that. Lowest score of 113.
Oh, God. Jesus, sounds amazing when you picture it like that.
Yeah, he's so good. For me, him and Cripps for the Brownlow, the Ball Magnet boys are doing well. It's just a shame Tom Mitchell's not there as well. It would have been good to have all three of them doing really well.
I reckon the Pig, though, the Pig's actually hampered by other stuff. I reckon he's got a groin issue.
Apparently he was crook last week as well.
Yeah, I think the Pig is primed for 2023, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%. And could be primed later this year if he gets back in form.
Could.
So, Dane Zorko, one obviously I've mentioned before, is I think a very good trade target this week. He's got Hawthorn down in Tassie at Utah Stadium.
Whoa!
So you guys going to that game? The boys
Probably
going to the game?
Probably not. I don't leave the house much these days, man. I'm a bit older. But you're dead right. He should have an absolute day out on that one.
Yeah. I was watching this week. I just want to see one more game just to put my mind at ease with this injury thing. And I'm like, yeah. And he's back to 3 games in a row over 80%. He's prime for the picking. And he's, I think, top 6 defender pretty comfortably in there. Jordan Dawson, who I love, 101. If it wasn't for Matty Nix moving him forward, defense, midfield, wing, like he'd be a 105 guy. But he's now got, again, that first game where he only got 75, had a poor first half, he's gone essentially 99 since. He had the 2 games of the 80s, game at Mars Stadium, then the other game he scored a negative 2-point quarter. So, yeah, Dawson, an option, do you think, for people looking at him?
Well, he's a top 6 mid, so top 6 defender in my opinion. So, yes, you need him in your team. As you can see there, like he had 24 touches, 22 of them are kicks, and the fact he takes the 7 marks, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, and he was on 3 points midway through the first quarter, and he ended up being on the top score for the quarter. So,
there you go.
Absolute gun. Ben Keys as well, 92. I did sort of flag a little bit a couple of episodes ago that Laird being back in has meant that Keys' ceiling has lowered to, he reminds me a bit more of a Sam Walsh, like Cripps and Laird, and then you got Walsh and Keys.
That.
Obviously, Walsh is probably better than Keys, but the comparison I think is pretty similar there. And then the final goal I want to talk about is Caneen Coleman. So 79. I'm looking potentially at him as an option for O'Driscoll because I had to hold him. I'm looking at getting Coleman for O'Driscoll and then using the money on top for Butters to go to Brayshaw potentially, or Mills. Like that's what I'm looking at.
He was good. I don't think he was that great last week though, was he? But
he got a 55. It was against West Coast, but in the really wet conditions. So I sort of maybe flagged that. So. And then Saligo as well is another guy that's quite cheap for people to look at as a rookie. So there you go. That's pretty much it from that. That's pretty much it from that game. So I will let you go and get the kids to bed and relax for the night. So thanks, Cal, for joining me, and we'll catch you another time. Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye. All right, so let's get stuck into these final 3 games. Thank you very much again for Calvin for joining me as well. We'll get to his final 3 games. I'll answer all your questions that you guys have got here. Let me know if you got any questions in the live chat and whatever. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. I'm, I think, nearing 400, so it'd be very helpful. And click a like on the video as well. It does help the channel out, and I appreciate every single one of your support that you guys show on the channel. So let's get stuck into Gold Coast and Fremantle here. So Toot Miller, 128. He's another guy that's underpriced. Only got a 92 last week. But then again, a lot of the guys struggled in that Gold Coast Sydney game. He's definitely going to be right for the picking. I'm probably a guy that's going to wait till after his bye to pick him up. I think that I'd rather a Brayshaw, I'd rather a Laird, a Mills over Took at the moment, but he's definitely a guy that's cheap that you can potentially look at for your Jack Steele issue this week. Caleb Sarong, 126, obviously helped a lot by those 14 tackles. That does help. I don't think he's an option, but for draft especially, he'd be obviously very handy to be getting that big score for you. What else we got here? Witsy got a 103. Obviously, the conditions did help a bit for that. He had laid the 9 tackles as well, so that was obviously positive. Will Brodie with a 102. So when does lockout end? I think that lockout would probably be opening within the next half hour or so, imagine. Maybe before 9:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, I'd imagine. That's just sort of a guess for me. Will Brodie, 102. Revenge game. Played well. Had his 27 touches with 8 tackles. He did play a bit more game time in this game as well. So he ended up playing 76%, which is obviously a lot more than what he normally does. He's normally a high 60s guy. So obviously that's good for him. He's a guy we hold till our buys, I think. He's got the round 14 buy, so I think we hold on to him. Andrew Brayshaw, 99. So that was obviously, I think, quite positive. The fact that I remember he was on like 74, I think we halfway through the last quarter. So he scurried to get to that 99. And I didn't notice him much in the first half when I watched the game. I flicked over to the Carlton Giants game, but he got to a 99. So I think he's, again, another guy that I'd be looking at. As I'd mentioned before, he's got a very nice run before his bye come out. He's got the great round 14 bye, so he's definitely a guy there. Noah Anderson, if you got him 92, not too bad considering he coming off of the illness he was last week. I think he had a bit of a leg issue early in the game as well, so that's not too bad if you've got him. Matt Rowell, 75. If you're still rocking with him, you could probably hold into his round 13 bye, I guess. But if you've still got him, you want to move him on, he's definitely a guy you can move on at this point. Sean Darcy, only 67. So I don't know what's going on with big Sean Darcy. Like he's a bit of a weird year for him. He's obviously had a couple of injuries and he got the big score last week, but then only a 67 this week, which is a great ruckman. But maybe at the moment, Bruce is looking like he's the top two. He's the second best ruckman until we get Grundy back. If we get the ruck pig back this week. Excuse me, a bit of a hiccup burp thing, whatever that is. Neil Erasmus, 57. He looked good really early. Probably a bit expensive to really consider, I think. Heath Chapman still got him. He got a 50. Anything else? That's probably it from that game. Not too much else from that. Giants, Carlton. So this was a very frustrating game to watch as a guy that had 7 players in the game. And I'm sure many of you guys as well had these guys in your team as well. So Josh Kelly was very, very good for 134. He's underpriced. New coach coming in. They got West Coast next week. That would be the reason why I'd be keeping these West Giants guys. But yeah, Josh Kelly's underpriced. He's got 2 130 scores in his last 3 weeks. So he got, I think, a 90 or an 89 or something last week. So he's definitely got it's underpriced. Doherty, 115, just gets it done every week. He's just so good. And I definitely want him in my team. Okay, apparently Lockhart's over, so we can obviously look at that in a sec. Sam Walsh is 110, got a couple of goals as well in there. I see him as more of a 95 to 105 guy with the occasional 110, 115 score. I think Cripper's the main guy in there, but if you're hot on Walsh and you want to bring him in, I think he's not a terrible option to bring. I probably prefer some other midfielders over him at the moment. Braden Bruce, 108. He just got it done again. 44 hitouts, solo ruck. He performed really well. He went down with a bit of a wrist arm injury early, and that sort of worried me a bit, but it was good to see him play the game out, and looks like he's fine. And another 108. He's an absolute beast, and he's probably quite high in price now compared to what he was. Actually, I'll check with Lockhart being lifted. He went up. And he's now at 683K, and he's now went up 40K, break even 56. So he's just very, very good. How much game time did he play as well today? That's going to be interesting. So he played 82%. This is his first game this year as well, over 80%. So he's building that match fitness. He's looking good, and yeah, definitely top. Probably the number 2 ruckman at the moment with everything that's going on. George Hill at 97. If you held on to him, you'd be happy with that score coming back first up. Had another 30 disposals as well. It was good to see that it wasn't like had 8 or 7 handballs and how many kicks. He had 12 kicks, 18 handballs. He normally tackles a little bit more as well, so that could have been over 100. Kicked 2 behind, so definitely had with him. He's a top 6 defender. Tim Taranto, 91 again. He played enough midfield again. How many CBAs did he get in the game? So there was how many CBAs? Wait, did Bruce go to every CBA? I reckon Bruce went to no. I don't even actually had it work out. So De Koning and Silvani. So there was 30 CBAs in the game. Bruce went 28, and then you had Taranto went to 17. He was behind Tom Green and Lockie Ash. So that's positive for if you're looking for him as an option. But he's just not scoring enough at the moment. Since I've brought him in, he's literally scored every game under 100. I haven't owned him for a game where he got over 100. So maybe I was a bad omen. So apologies if you had him at the start of the year. But yeah, he'll still be a top 6 forward. He'll come good. He's just going to be very cheap for everyone else when I paid, 939K for him. Corey Durden, 79. He looked very impressive. He'd be picked for Rising Star nomination, I'd imagine, for this round. He was very, very good. 79, good for cash generation as well. And he's going to be very handy, I think, for your round 13 and 14 on the buys, because we're going to be getting rid of a lot of these round 12 guys. I think he's a guy you can keep. He's definitely in the best 22. And I think you can hold on to him past his bye. And he could be a guy that you can potentially play in field in round 13 and 14. Paddy Cripps, 76. He still had 26 disposals, just didn't have his marks, tackles in this game. I think he gave a couple of free kicks away. We can forgive Cripper for that. This is his first sort of quieter game for the year, and he'll be fine. He's still averaging very, very high if you take out that 36 that he when he was injured. So he's still very, very good. Cooper Hamilton got a 61, so if you brought him in, you'd be pretty happy with that. Round to a bye was probably the reason I didn't go for him, and a lot of other people didn't because they were probably scared away from that. And the fact that new coach coming in, is he in the best 22? I guess we'll find out with that. Stephen Coniglio, 49, very frustrating. He's not getting enough midfield time. I think he did attend a few centre bounces today. I think he got 7, so a little bit more than what he has been getting. He did go down with it. He got a knock in his back in a, I think Doherty with a spoil got him in the back and he went down. So he didn't score much after. He was on 41 points at that point. He only scored 8 points for the remaining, I think second half. I think he got only 8 points. So not great. He's got West Coast, so you can hold him, but he's going to be bleeding cash. That's the only bad thing with him now. So Lockie Whitfield, very similar with Coniglio, 46. Like, a lot of people started with both Whitfield and Coniglio, and they just haven't been good enough at all. Whitfield's only got the 100 for the year, and that was only a 102 or something against Melbourne, or I think it was against Melbourne anyway, something like that. But he's a guy that is just very frustrating. And there's a lot of defenders scoring really well this year. You've got Short, you've got Sicily, Dawson, Zorko, Crisp. There's other guys. Aaron Hall when he comes back. There's other guys I'm forgetting as well. That's just off the top of my head, but I don't see Whitfield being a top 6 defender. Tom Stewart's another one. I don't see Whitfield being a top 6 defender the way he's playing. Maybe new coach puts him in his correct position and he starts playing well. He's got West Coast next week. He could go massive. I wouldn't trade him out. At worst, I'd hold him to his at least I'd hold him to his buy, and then you can get rid of him then if you want to get rid of him then. And then Jack Carroll, 31. I brought him in, played him on field this week. I was able to loophole De Koning, McComb, and McCartan. I put McCartan in my forward line, De Koning in my defence, and then McComb in midfield. And I thought I would have got a better score than a 55, which was my high score from McCartan, which was the highest score out of the 3 in McCartan, and didn't even reach that. He was the lowest score out of all 4. So rookie roulette. What are you going to do? Just yeah. Hopefully he keeps his spot. He was meant to keep his spot he was meant to be playing round 1 if he didn't have a little preseason injury. So hopefully he holds his spot. And then the final game, West Coast, Melbourne. Chris Petrarca went nuts, 139. That could have been a lot bigger. Kicked 2 goals, 4, had 28 disposals. So again, if he has more touches and he kicks more goals, that's a 170. Could have been huge. So I'm probably glad he didn't go like 170 because he was a guy I was looking at this week, and I went Darcy Cameron over him. So it cost me points in terms of I probably would have gone Petrarca captain, but hey, what are you going to do? Petrarca's definitely a guy I'm looking at. He's underpriced and he's got the good buy, so he's a guy I'm looking at. What else we got here? Just having a look at other players here. Tim Kelly played well, 95. I just don't think you can trust him. Alex Willan did well. Again, he's another guy scoring really well in defence. He got a 112, so he's another guy you can look at bringing in. He just scores well every week. With West Coast having the ball so much in their defence, he's just getting all of these chip marks. And that, again, another 12 marks for him today. He was very good. Angus Brayshaw, 92. So that was good if you brought him in. You'd be happy enough with that. You probably want a little bit more from him. But when Salem comes back, that's going to be the interesting thing. Is he going to keep that role in defence, or is he going to go back to his defensive wing role? So just something to watch. Clayton Oliver, 91. You probably want a bit more from that against West Coast as well. So you probably bit bummed out, especially a lot of people putting captain as well. He only played 79% game time. He's normally a high 80% guy. So, yeah, 91's not terrible, but you probably want a little bit more. Matt scored 87, so he got added an extra point after. But again, I didn't captain. I had to have him captain. Wanted probably a little bit more from that. But considering there was a chance he didn't play, I guess it was just good he got in the park. There was 2 tackles I remember that he got. It should have been paid for him, and they didn't get paid. So that should have been a 95 at least. But I don't know what they really credit a tackle for. Sometimes I think people get tackled and it's a tackle, but then sometimes they get tackled and it's not a tackle. It's very hard for when we watch and we're like, is that a tackle? Because we just don't know. So Greg Clark, 61. He got to his 60, which is good. I think he's going to be a guy that can get you at least 60 every week, which is good enough. He went up. How much did he go up this week? He had a break in, obviously, negative 31. So he went up to 313. So he went up 63K. It could have been a lot more if he got an 80 or something, but he's going to be a guy we'll keep on our field now for the foreseeable future, I guess. And his break even is now negative 20. So he's still got plenty of money to make. Hang on, now it's just gone back off that game. So I've got to click back into here. What else we got here? So Clark, you said him. Bowie got a 55. So I think you could hold him to his bye, but you could also get rid of him this week. I think he's a guy that you can definitely trade off this week. 55 is probably not what you want. Only one mark as well, so you probably want him a lot more than that. So he's fine to get rid of now, even though he has got North Melbourne this week, but yeah, I'd probably just trade him anyway. Hugh Dixon was a late in, so he obviously stuffed up my VC options. 39, makes a little bit of money, but he's just, unfortunately, just that sucks. And then Paddy Nash got 12. I traded him this week purely on the fact I thought he was going to be sub, and his break even was, I think, 76, and he is now down. I think, how much did he go down this week? That'd be interesting. So I just want to know personally. He went down 43K this week, and his break even is now 112. So yeah, if you had him, you definitely had to move on from last week. So there you go. So that's all the games there. So let's get stuck in your questions. So if you are watching live, put your questions in the live chat, and I'll get to them and read them from the live chat. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It does help the channel out. I do appreciate everyone. And then also, if you're enjoying the content, chuck a like on the video as well. That also helps out as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching and all the support. So we'll start the top question. So Stephen Sexton says, trade Steele to Petrarca Cow. I'm pretty sure, I think Cal would have said that he would tick that off. But if you're interested in what my 2 cents worth, I'd say that is definitely an option I'm looking at. In terms of, unfortunately, I'll be up. Well, I don't want to sound smug, because I'm not smug. I'm honestly gutted that Steele's injured, because I wanted to bring him in, but Petrarca's a great option to bring in for Jack Steele. I think he's prime for the picking. He's cheap. Petrarca's now 879, break even 88. He's got North Melbourne this week. Who's he got before the bye? He's got Freo, Sydney, Collingwood. He's not getting tagged. He's gone at least 110 in 4 of his last 5 weeks. So yeah, definitely prime for the picking, and he looked very good today. And then you also said as well, Stephen, you said other options: Tuke, Mills, Brayshaw, Oliver. So I'd rather Petrarca over Oliver being cheaper. I think I'd rather Petrarca over Tuke as well, because he's been better for a little bit longer than what Tuke has. In terms of like the season, Tuke's sort of been a little bit up and down the last few weeks. Mills Brayshaw is the interesting one. So it's like, do you pay up for Mills at 953K or Brayshaw at 928K, or do you go for Petrarca? I think that will come down to buys. It'll literally be Brayshaw or Petrarca or Mills. So because Mills ran 13, the other two ran 14. If I was picking, I still lean just to Brayshaw, just because of his really nice run before his bye, and he's got the round 14 bye as well as Petrarca. That's the only thing crossing Mills out for me. But if you're round 13 bye, you need someone there, you could easily go Mills, because he looks so good. But he's very expensive now. So what's his break even? His break even is 102. So he could reach $1 million. He's the guy that could reach it. Andrew Griffith says Dacos, Cogs, or Whitfield goes first. So out of those 3, that's interesting, because Coniglio and Whitfield both play West Coast this week, and Dacos got round 14 bye, but the round 14 bye is very handy. So do you keep Cogs and Whitfield, get rid of Dacos to get rid of a rookie, but also maybe the round... If you're heavy on round 12 buys, I would probably go Coniglio first out of the 3, because I just expect Whitfield to go back to his half-back role. But if he can, I'd almost rather get rid of Dacos if the buys aren't an issue, because maybe this West Coast game, you might get these guys. But I think Coniglio does go first out of those 3. I think he's probably the guy. Moon Boy, where's Bales? Maybe he's still upset with the GOS players. Those Giants players really frustrate me, that's for sure. Hopefully they should be good this week. They play West Coast, like surely they're good this week. But yeah, then Moon Boy says, "Hey fellas, sorry for the delayed Moon Boy, so apologies for that, but Thank you for tuning in. I know, Jack, you said Heaney for sure, like is in your -3. Yeah, Heaney just very frustrating. With I've had him for 2 weeks. He's got his second and third lowest score for the year, and happens all premiums for me. Happens all the time. So, Andrew Griff says, sick dog, what a play. Yep, he's just so good. Turkish 110. Josh Kelly and Took. Yeah, Josh Kelly was very good this week. Definitely underpriced. So he's priced at he's at 855 now. So he's a bit more expensive than what I thought he was, but he's now gone 134.89, 134 in his last 3. So he's got West Coast this week. He could go big this week. So he's definitely a guy that if you want an underpriced guy, he could be a guy to look at. And then Took as well was very good. Brendan Young says, Jack Steele to Sarong. It depends if you need the cash, really, because Sarong's got the good buy in having the round 14 buy. He's now 719, break even 54. He's gone back-to-back hundreds. I just don't know if you can trust him because he can get you a 60. I love Sarong. I think he's a good player, but I just don't think you can trust him enough. So I probably wouldn't do that. You got Duncan's not that much more expensive than him. Zorko's cheap. Wines is cheap. So I'd probably rather those. Yeah, Duncan's like 13K more expensive than him. So I'd rather Duncan out of if you haven't got Duncan or someone like that anyway. Riley Thompson says, thoughts on Zorko? Yeah, I do love Zorko. Hawthorn this week. I don't know why I said week. It sounded weird. Anyway, he's got Hawthorn this week. Should be good. Down at Pig Park, down at Utah's 790K as well. Break even 74. Not getting any cheaper than what he is. He's now got 300s in a row, and 4 of his last 5 have been hundreds. He's now gone 3 games as well, playing over 80%, which 4 games in a row, sorry, playing over 80%, which is positive. So he's a guy I'm definitely looking at this week. But yeah, so Zorko, definitely 100%. Heaney or Steele first? I'm assuming Kaffers. I'm assuming you're saying who you trade out first. You'd obviously go Steele out of the two, because Steele was obviously injured. Heaney will play, but I can understand the frustration as a Heaney owner. That very frustrating. He's just, I just want him to get more midfield time. And I thought he was a lock to get midfield time. But, yeah, I don't know. Stephen Sexton said, hey, Bales, thoughts on Haitley as a mid-priced option? He's definitely a sneaky option that you can look at. So he's gone 67 and 98, but he's playing a lot more in the midfield. And he was impressive last night, one of the Crows' better performers. His break-even's 33. He's got the round 14 bye. But the only thing that would deter me away, round 13 by, the only thing that would deter me away from him is the fact he's got St Kilda and Geelong in his next 2. So he's not a horrible option, but he's only had the one good game. So I probably wouldn't jump on him. I'd maybe rather go like Kadeem Coleman instead. But I can understand that he does look potential option. Andrew Griffith says 4-1 for Martin, just unload. Yeah. Andrew Griff said that. So, yeah, Nick Martin should get the Rising Star. I think, personally. I think he's been the better rookie for the year. Dacos has been great. Rochelle's also been quite good. Rochelle's dropped off a little bit last few weeks, but I think Nick Martin's probably the guy I'd probably pick out of those there. So, keep your questions coming in as well. Kaffers 08 says, should I go Dacos to Crisp or Steele to Mills? So, I'm assuming you can only do one of those. So, I'd be going Steele to Mills there. I'd rather, because you're getting rid of a guy that's injured for a while and you just keep Dacos. But Dacos to Crisp is a good trade. If you're doing both those trades and you've got the money to do that, I'd tick them off. Definitely getting a top 3 defender, and you're getting probably could be the top scoring midfielder at the end of the year. So, yeah, Mills is definitely a guy that is good to bring in. But, oh, yeah, I'd go Steele to Crisp. Steele to Mills if you're looking at either of those trades. Andrew Griff says, Butters to Petrarca means holding Cogs and Whitfield. Yep, tick that off. I'm potentially doing something very similar this week, depending on what I can do. I've obviously got a bit of a worn chest there, so I can obviously do a couple of upgrades this week. So it could be Butters to Petrarca, and then I don't know what I'm going to do a Marta trade, but it's just something I'm looking at as well. But yeah, I'd be holding Cogs and Whitfield and get rid of Butters, just because the better matchup for Cogs and Whitfield and the new coach, they might have different roles, so we can watch them next week and see what happens. Turkish 110 says, thoughts on Adelaide's Berry? Want to bring him in this week for Butters, so then I can go Dacos up to Andrew Brayshaw. So Sam Berry's done well the last 2 weeks. I just as a Crows fan, I don't think Berry is in our best 22. He's gone 103.89 his last two, but he's relied on a lot of tackles. I'm not a fan. He's 521, break even of 19. I can see why people are looking at him because he's going to make money, but maybe someone that's not as biased as like being a Crows fan that maybe isn't wanting him best 22. But he's an option that can make you money. If you had the round 14 bye, it'd probably be a bit more tempting, but the round 13 bye is a bit like if you're light on round 13, maybe you could consider him, but he's an option, probably not one I'd be jumping on though, personally. Rhett Weeks. Rhett Weeks also, thank you. I did see that you subscribed to the channel as well and you follow me on Twitter. So thank you very much for that. I've said it before, I wish that I could see more when people subscribe to my channel so I can give them like a shout out and thank them for subscribing. But I did see Luke Cabin subscribes. Thank you very much to Luke, and Jimmy Kuba subscribed. Well, thank you very much. If you want to also join them, feel free. But Rhett Weeks, you said, would you hold Butters? Who's a good rookie to trade in on field for Macomb? Already have Greg Clark. So in terms of keeping Butters, you can keep Butters because he's got the role and he still did okay on the weekend. The only reason I'm getting rid of him is because it works for my buy structure. I'd rather get rid of him over Dacos because of the buys specifically. They're both going to be gone in my team over the buys anyway, but you can hold Butters. If it works for your buys and it's not too much of an issue, you can hold him. But if it works better for your buys to trade, you can trade. And then in terms of a good rookie to bring in for Macomb, so obviously you're not bringing Carroll in now. Obviously that poor score rules him out as an option. So in terms of guys that are cheap, right? So Saligo's a guy that I am looking at if I'm looking at a downgrade this week. So he went up. How much did he got this week? He's probably, so he's 211, went up 13K, break even to 13, got a 59, looked impressive. I think he'll stay in the Crows side for a little bit. He's definitely a guy you can look at. And there's probably the Bulldogs boys and Luke Cleary and Buki Karma. So I'd rather Cleary over the two. He's got a break even negative two. I'd rather him over Buki Karmas, but you've got those two there as options. I think Jesse Motzlow's probably a bit too expensive to look at as an option. And then that's probably about it. Yeah, there's not too many other guys besides if you haven't got Greg Clark in. Oh, sorry, you've already got Greg Clark, sorry. But yeah, that's probably what I would do there. Andrew Griffith says, I've still got Ainsworth, need defender rookie to get. Does Cleary have job security? That's the $1 million question, I think, with Luke Cleary. Does he have the job security? We've seen with Dogs, they do tend to bring in a guy and then he gets dropped. But Dogs have got some injuries at the moment. So I think his job security should be okay for a few weeks at least until he's bye. So he could be quite helpful and do all right. And then Ainsworth, if you've got him, if you're looking to upgrade Ainsworth, you can upgrade him, I guess, because his break-even's 43. So he could still make a bit more money. He's got Hawthorn, so you could hold on to him. He's got round 14 buys. So you're probably holding on to him to his round 14 buy, to be honest. AFL Hotspot says, trade one of Butters, Coniglio, or Nick Martin. So we can't use the buy thing with all these. So you can't say that because I've got the round 12. So Butters, Cogs, or Nick Martin. Personally, I'd probably go Butters because I enjoy watching the other two more. And Coniglio's got the better matchup this week. Butters has got Geelong in Geelong. That's a very tough game. So I don't know if he's going to score very well this week. If you can get rid of Butters and Coniglio, that could be something. Keep Nick Martin. But Nick Martin I'd keep. I'd get rid of one of Butters or Coniglio. Probably Butters personally, but it could be Coniglio as well. Maybe the 40 was just like, you didn't want to see that. But then again, Butters did get a 30 a few weeks ago. So what have we got here? Porter Dennis says, Whitfield to Zorko. Yeah, especially if it helps with your buys as well, I don't mind that. But again, he's got West Coast this week, new coach coming in. He could go back into his role off half back / wing. So you could hold him if you've got another guy you could trade, but I tick it off. I'm certainly nothing wrong with trading Whitfield. He's had his chances, but the new coach thing could be interesting. But then again, you could trade him out. He could do well, and then you can bring him back in after his round 12 bye because we're going to be looking at guys off their bye. So you could definitely do something like that. Kaffers 08 says Zorko or Dawson. Oh, I don't like this question because I like both. For here, I would definitely be saying pick which guy worked better for your buys because Dawson's got round 13, Zorko round 14. It doesn't matter with cash because they're essentially Dawson's 19K more. If you're looking for and if you're like, I don't care about buys, if you're looking more for safe option, go Dawson, because he's going to play pretty much every game, barring injury. Whereas Zorko, we just don't know with his body; he couldn't go at any point. But Zorko's got the better matchup. If I was choosing this week, I'd be picking Zorko because I need a guy for round 14 bye, and he's got Hawthorn this week. So if you're looking at that, go Zorko. But I think it's just personal preference, I would imagine, for that one there. JS says Mills, Brayshaw, Laird, or Miller. So I'd cross Miller off of those four. I think Miller's still a good player and a good option at some point. He's at 900k though, and he's expensive. And I've got more trust at the moment with those other three guys. So I would probably go Miller 4. As much as I love Laird, as I said before, my favourite player in the AFL. I'd put him number 3 just because he's playing St Kilda and Geelong in the next 2 weeks. 2 difficult games. I think Laird will still get you hundreds in both games. So Mills or Brayshaw. What's the difference in terms of cashing? Is this like 30k now? So Brayshaw 928, Mills 953, so 25k difference. I personally think I would go Brayshaw number 1, because especially that round 14 bye for me is another thing that I like, and his run to the bye is, as I said, is very nice. So if you missed it before, Brayshaw's run to the bye: Collingwood, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Hawthorn. It's a good run. Mills's run to his bye is Carlton, Richmond, Melbourne. So that's also not a bad run, but Brayshaw's got the easier run and the better buy. But again, if buys don't matter and you want a guy that's hitting you 150s in 2 of the last 3 weeks, he got the 130, didn't he? But he's gone 160, 130, 70, then 150. So looking at that, you can probably go Mills. You probably say Mills based on form and that. So it almost is like the way you've done Mills, Brayshaw, Laird, Miller. But personally, my opinion, I'll probably go Brayshaw just because he works better for me. But yeah, flip a coin, I think, with those two. They're both very good. They're probably going to be 2 of the top midfielders. So Rhett Weeks says, thank you. No, appreciate happy to help. If you've got any other questions as well, feel free to put them in live chat. If you've got more questions as well, answer a couple more, then I'll have to head off as well. Been on hour and 6 minutes, so a bit of a longer one tonight. Jason Muscat says, Mitchell, Cripps, Bont, Oliver, or Petrarca, choose one. So Tom Mitchell, you have to cross out because of the fact that his role isn't what he has in the past. And unfortunately, the Pig's we don't know if he's got a bit of a groin issue. He was a bit crook last week. He was managed this week. You can't pick him. Cripps, Bont, Oliver, Petrarca. I keep saying Petrarca. I'm so used to saying Petrarca. I don't know why I'm saying Petrarca tonight. I'd cross off Bont because I'd wait for him to get forward status. So Cripps, Oliver, Petrarca. I'd probably cross off Oliver then as well with eliminating, because I'd rather Petrarca over Oliver. So Petrarca or Cripps, that's interesting. So Cripps is now priced up at 853. He obviously had the poor game this week. He's got Sydney under the roof this week. Petrarca's got North. So if you're looking at matchup, you could probably go Petrarca. Cripps's break even's now 106, so whereas Petrarca's is 88. So I'd nearly go Petrarca, but I think Cripps has shown this year he's been the better scorer so far. But I think that Petrarca, he had those couple of bad weeks, but of all his hundreds, he's gone 110 plus. He's had the 3 weeks of the 83, 77, 76. He's not actually that dissimilar to a guy like Lachie Neale, because Neale had the 3 games of the 86, the 98, and the 96, and then he's scored 110 in every game. Petrarca's done the same. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Personal preference. If, again, buys, Cripps has got round 12 buy, Petrarca's got round 14, I would probably choose Petrarca there, and especially with the better matchup. So, Jason, I hope that answers your question. I'll go Petrarca out of the 5. Barnes says, why does no one talk about Brayshaw scoring reduction, likely with Fife coming back to play pure mid? I'd be worried picking him. I'm going Laird. That's a good point, actually. I haven't thought about that. So that's good, because Mills is doing it with no one else come back in, whereas Brayshaw. But I think with Brayshaw, I think he's their number 1 mid, even with hang on, just got to reply to a message. Someone's just asking. Yeah, just asking me a question. But yeah, that is a very good point, and I can definitely see why you're going Laird, because Laird's got the role. Laird's no one else coming in to take Laird's mid-Tom way. So I just think Brayshaw's the number one mid. I think Fife will come in. I think Fife will be 50-50 mid forward. I know he said he's going to come back mid, but I'm pretty sure Longmuir doesn't do what players want. He does what he wants. And like Brody doesn't get enough game time. Brody's going to be playing in the midfield. Maybe a guy like it'll be probably Sarong and Brody will probably play like the 65% game time. Mundy might play off half back or half forward a bit more. And maybe Fife comes in. I don't think it will affect Brayshaw as much, but I maybe he doesn't get those 120s as often as he has. Jay says, okay, thank you. Again, I'm very happy to help. So appreciate answering the question because I do enjoy answering people's questions. So thank you for that. Kaffers08 says, Barnes has a point, Fife will then own that midfield. Yeah, he definitely it is a good point to raise. I hadn't thought about that. So that might make me pick a guy like Petrarca instead, maybe. But yeah, it's definitely something that I don't think it'll affect Brayshaw. I think it'll affect Sarong, Mundy, Brody. I think that it'll affect those guys more. Brayshaw's the number one mini, and he's their future. So, like, because Fife's a little bit old now, he's a bit more injury prone. They're not going to want to play Fife as well, playing full time mid when he's had these injuries. So, and he's such a good forward when he goes down there. So it could be a 60-40 split, 65, like 70%, 30%, like mid forward, maybe. I guess we'll just have to find out when it happens. So, but then again, as you said, you can't. If you're paying top dollar for a guy like Brayshaw, maybe don't. So that's definitely a good point. So actually, thank you, Barnes. You've made me definitely think about that. So thank you very much. I do appreciate that. And Tony Ford says, "Hey mate, just joined, so don't know if you've covered this. Who are the best rookie options for the bench this week?" So my favourite's probably Saligo. I think he's got the better job security. He's got the good round 14 bye. I think he's the guy you bring in. If you're looking at any buy, Luke Cleary is another option you can look at. Buku Karmas is another guy. They're probably the three. The two Dogs guys and Jake Saliga are probably the three guys I'm looking at. I don't think there's anyone else. Like Winder's not going to play enough games. Butler didn't score enough. Butler went down 10K. So Rory Thompson's not going to score well enough. Jesse Motlop, he played well, but he's not going to score well enough. And he's already 250K. So, yeah, I'd probably go Saligo as the number one guy and then those Dogs guys as the other two. So, there we go. So, I think that's it. If no one's got any other questions, again, thank you for tuning in. I know we had a lot of people as well when Calvin was on. So, again, shout out to Calvin for joining. I really did appreciate it. I always enjoy when the Traders boys come on and chat some fantasy. And, yeah, it's been good to answer all these questions at the end as well. So, again, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like. Does really help out the channel. And again, as I say all the time, and I do mean it as well, I do really appreciate all your support. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click the subscribe button. We're nearing 400K subscribers. I think we're on 484, I think, with those other couple of people that subscribe. So let me have a look. Thank you, LaPierre_23 for following me on Twitter as well. If you want to follow my social media accounts as well at Twitter, my Twitter and Instagram. Them two things. Twitter's the more one I'm more active on in terms of fantasy stuff. 394. Wow. Thank you very much, everyone. That helps out and makes me very happy. We're near 400. So if you haven't subscribed, we've got 6 left, 6 to go before 600, and then we'll catch to hopefully 500. So, but yeah, follow them. Click the notification bell because that does let you know when I go live. So I go live, if you are new, I go live every 4:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time on Friday for the weekend forecast where I preview the whole round, go through my trades, answer your questions. 4 p.m. for me because I'm Australian Central Standard Time being in Adelaide. And then I go live Sunday after the final game. So more often than not, that's about 7 o'clock my time, 7:30 Australian Standard Time for pretty much everyone else. But obviously games do fluctuate. So it's every time after. So it could be 9:30, could be 9 o'clock, could be 7. It could be really whatever time the last game finishes. So that's what we do on the Sunday night. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Everyone that likes the video, appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on... hang on, before I go, my trades, people probably might be interested to see what my trades are. So because I've got the 400K in the bank, at the moment, I haven't done my trades, haven't had enough to look at it yet, but I'm looking at potentially, Driscoll to Kadeem Coleman, putting Carroll on my bench. Coleman's got a good matchup. He's got the round 14 bye, which helps. I can trade him at his round 14 bye. And then going Butters up to Brayshaw or Mills. That's what I'm looking at, one of those two. Maybe Brayshaw at the moment. but it could be one of the two. But also, I might go Butters to Petrarca, and then I might get Duncan in if I can afford like 2 premiums in. That I just got to see what I can do. So they're my trades. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on Friday for another episode of the Weekend Forecast. And thank you, Andrew, for the message for that. And hang on, JS says I went Rochelle to Coleman and Steele to Mills. Yep, I do like those trades. I think Coleman will be fine, and Mills is good to bring for Steele. So there you go. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys on Friday. I'm out. Cheers.